Well, Lachlan, it's really good to see you again. I know we've been sitting here having a blether beforehand, and really, to be quite honest, we were never getting this interview done because we were talking about Ayr United non-stop. So it's obviously that you're really passionate about the club. I don't think there's a doubt about that in what you were saying there. I was very interested for the first time that you've been talking a lot off camera about the links with the community from this club, and I think that's a really good place to start, because there's some kind of feeling in the club just now that things aren't going right between us, or outside the club, that things aren't going right with the community. How do you feel about it?
Well, you know, I think the same line that I've always taken. I mean, there will always be a perception out there that the club has put a wall between itself and its support with regards to information or communication and so on and so forth. And that kind of level of feeling amongst the support, in my opinion, will always depend on where we are in the standings and how we're playing. You know, when we're playing well, nobody cares about all the stuff. When we're not playing well, that's, you know, the most important thing in the world. And I can't worry about that too much. I have to worry about doing what we actually do, and that is, you know, we've got our whole community program run by the academy and through the academy and the club is an amazing. It's been an amazing piece of work over the last 10 years. You know, 10 years ago, we didn't have a youth team. We didn't have one youth team. Now we have numerous youth teams on the professional side and on the community side. When 10 years ago, we didn't have any foothold in football in South Ayrshire other than just ourselves. And now we essentially run football in South Ayrshire. We're in the community. We're in the schools. All the different community groups, all the rest of it. We've got guys in there on a very regular basis. Our head of youth just told me today that this year alone we've had 965, I think it was, individual kids, not sessions, but 965 individual kids going through their schools program, and that doesn't include any of the stuff outside that, the community program and all the rest of it. So I get it. We're not a PR machine. We're not good at it. We're not good at a lot of things, but we are good at some things and plenty of other things. And while we need to improve our communication about what we're doing, in other words, our PR, I think we actually do a very good job in the community. That we're run by and for the community, and that's kind of a line we've taken since the very start, and that hasn't changed, and that won't change no matter how we're doing, out there on the pitch at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. But as far as what we do in the community, I think we take quite a proactive role there.
We talked about, as I said beforehand, talking about your love for the club. It's a family love, isn't it, as well? And how does it affect you when the club's not performing well, like it has been quite recently? My association here started purely because of my father. He brought me here in, I think it was 1987 or 88, somewhere in there. And every time I would come over, it would seem we were either playing Queen of the South or Stranraer, so that's kind of where my association came. Before that, my family's from the Isle of Islay, so there's not other than some club football, there's nothing really out there. I can't remember the rest of the question. What was the rest of it? It's just your love for it.
How do
you feel if we lose? Is it a passion inside you? Is that love really deep?
I was telling my cousin on Sunday, I was standing next to him watching the game, and every once in a while I wish I could just go watch a football match that wasn't going to ruin my evening if we lost, and make my evening if we won. It used to be when I was here on a Sunday, if we lost, I wouldn't go out, and it wasn't because I was so desperate that I wanted to hang myself or something. It was just I didn't feel comfortable going out. I didn't want to go out. It was much easier in the winter, and you could stay in and watch the football on Sundays. But I don't know that my feeling is any different than anyone else's feeling about whether we win or lose. I mean, everyone who pays through these gates and wants to see this club, wants to see us do well, and pains us on different levels when we don't. And I'm the same as anybody else. The only difference is that I've got a responsibility to make sure that whatever we're doing tries to improve that performance on the park. So, there's maybe an added bit from the work side, but from the passion side, I don't think my position is any different than anyone else's, and that you want to win, and you're happy when you do, and you're desolate when you lose.
You're a fan.
Yeah, always have been.
Quite simple.
Yeah.
You're a fan.
That, I think there's a perception. It's like when a guy crosses the line and goes from shop floor to management, he's all of a sudden becomes the enemy. Well, people always tell me about fan-run clubs and this and that, and we're exploring all that, and I'm quite happy to do that. And this came down from my father. That was his original intention, that it should be run. Ayr United should be run by and for the community in which it serves, and that's exactly what we try and do. But Lewis Grant, for instance, he was a ball boy here when he was 5 years old, and he's I won't give away his age, but he's not 5 years old anymore. And we've got Graham Peterkin on the board, and all the guys on the board. Every single guy here, with the exception of me, has been a season ticket holder. I wasn't a season ticket holder because my first introduction to the club was when my dad got involved, 25, 30 years ago, whatever it was. So, but every single other guy on the board has been a season ticket holder. They're all fans, and I became a fan before I became involved. I got involved 10 years ago here, but I don't think the guy and the people who work in here for the most part are all supporters. We're not here because of the compensation package. You know what I mean?
You brought up slightly there about changes. You've made it clear that you are trying to sell the club. You're mentioning there that you're looking down the roads of, for example, as you said there, the community ownership. There's lots in the papers, especially over Christmas, about other bids that are probably made, and I think the one that Brian Gilmour one recently with a lovely diagram of a park we'd really love to have, and you commented that you didn't think it was really good that this had come out in public at this point. Are you still in negotiations with people? Are you at an advanced state, or is it still roughly where you would be?
Yeah, there's a few options that have been on the go for an awful long time, and obviously solidifying any of this is we're trying to get to an end point. I recognize that the chairman and owner of a club shouldn't be living whatever it is, 5,000, 6,000 miles away. It's as passionate or as much work as I want to put into it. I've got a whole different world over there that I'm dealing with. I've got my family life, my work life, and then I think it's well known my father's got some Alzheimer's issues, and I've been dealing with him quite a bit, and we've got a family business. So I run that, and even though I want to give as much time as I possibly can to Ayr United, it's not possible all the time, especially with the time difference, all the rest of it. So I recognize it's not the best situation to have, but it's the situation we're in. And I've publicly stated it and many other occasions, and I'll state it here as well. I'm not trying to make a penny out of this club. Never have tried to make a penny out of this club. So, yeah, I saw the diagrams. I saw all the rest of the stuff come out. And I will say that I can't really mention anything specifically on that, because whether any other party wants to or not, we've signed confidentiality agreements around surrounding all that. So I'm not really comfortable going into detail, but I can tell you that I have been speaking to at advanced levels to various people over the past few years, and so far nothing's come to fruition. But I expect at some point that we will have an end result that would end with me stepping down from my position and turning it over to the next guy. But I'm slightly careful, or very careful, about who we pass it on to, because I want to make sure that I'm not the guy who's here, or be as sure as I can be that I'm not handing it over to the guy who brings down Ayr United. You know what I mean? Because there's an obvious carrot here, in that we've got this, Heathfield on the go and all the rest of it, and that could be a real financial moneymaker for someone. And I want to make sure that it's not there purely for personal financial gain, when we've got the whole reason we're all here is for Ayr United Football Club. So, kind of juggling all those balls.
So putting it together, it's basically, it has to be something that's suitable for Ayr United. It's not to try and bring in someone who just wants to develop land.
And by the way, I'm not suggesting that that's what all the stuff that was put. That's not at all what I'm suggesting. But the one thing I would say about that is, I was happy with the reaction that got from our support. Our support, I think, has been around long enough to know that we're more comfortable seeing, praising things or being comfortable with things after they actually happen. We've heard from a lot of people, as long as I've supported this club or even been associated with this club, There's been plenty of people that have gone out there and told us what they're going to do, including us. We ended up with egg on our face because we were going to build this stadium and do this stuff and all the deal, this, that, and the other. We got it all through planning, and looking back on that, and people wonder why sometimes I'm fairly hesitant to talk about all these things, because I don't want to be the guy who's out there saying, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and snake oil salesman. It never happens. I'd rather we actually go and do something, and when there's something concrete there, you'll be sure to know. I can guarantee it.
Can we be first? The United media would love that. First, that would be great. And the second thing there is, you're obviously over to have a look at what Iain McCall's doing here. He said on the fans' night in, the questioning manager, that you had a 1 hour phone call, maybe longer than that, just during the process of choosing him. So far, what have you made of your choice?
Well, I've been nothing but impressed so far. I mean, it was well over an hour, and then we've had a few of those conversations, and there was a long process. When we let Mark go, we made a decision at that point that we'd given inexperienced youth a chance, first-time manager a chance, and that was the second time in a row, because we'd done that with Brian as well, and there was plenty of good reasons for doing that. And it was time now for us to go back and go to an experienced manager. So we had 3 main criteria. The first being experience at this level or above. 2, their ability to work within the financial constraints of a football club at this level, and ability to show that they've done that. And the third was surrounding youth development and the ability to bring through youth players from a young age into the first team and demonstrate that they've been able to do that and will be able to do that. And obviously Iain scored very highly on all 3, and he's obviously got bags of experience, and his enthusiasm was incredible for the role. And in speaking to him, we narrowed it down from we had close to 50 CVs, legitimate CVs, not just player or the manager game or whatever. And we narrowed that down and ended up with a strong candidate list of 5 people who I spoke to individually and arranged for interviews. And then from there, we narrowed it down to 2 people. And then from there, obviously narrowed it down to 1. And we said it was going to take 3 weeks, and we did it on 3 weeks to the day. And it was a fairly solid interview process. And the more and more I spoke to Iain during this process, the more and more comfortable I got, and the more I could just feel that energy coming off him. I mean, this is a guy who was buzzing to get back into football, and there was plenty of issues to talk about. We talked about all. We talked through a lot of things, and it became pretty clear during that process that he was the man. He was going to be the man. So this week isn't really about seeing. It was more about coming. I knew Iain from before to say hello to, and I think if we ran into each other in the street, I would say hello. I'd know who he was, and he'd know who I was. But I haven't actually come across him in probably more than 5 years now, and so you get a perception of someone from what you hear and all the rest of it, but I'd never actually sat down and got in an involved conversation with him, and he was nothing but impressive, and my hope is that he can. I mean, he's already energized. Not only from his locker room, but through to the administration and through to the rest of the staff and everyone. So I think we're just looking forward to taking a ride with him.
What do you think? Iain's been talking quite a lot about he sees the potential in Ayr United getting the crowds back. Already the crowds are up to double of what they were when they dropped down during the bad period before Christmas. Hopefully that stays. But he says he can see Ayr as a very solid championship club, trying to push forward to the next step after that. Do you feel the same way?
I do. I mean, I think the name of the game here is trying to progress. We're obviously at a fairly low point in that crowds are quite low, morale was quite low, everything about the place had been depressed, and I think it's up to, there has to be a catalyst for change, and that I think Iain might be that catalyst, and he's right. I mean, all the people I ever come across who have been around for a while and played here, they always talk about all the support behind the goal, and it was almost like they were sucking the ball into the net. And we've obviously lost that to a great extent, and I think Iain has made a big point about that's what we need to get back, and he's the man to get us back there. And there's a few ways to get that, but the main way is getting results. And so that's first and foremost. We need to get results, and no matter how we do it, forget about style of play, forget about this, that, and the other. We need to get 3 points on a pretty regular basis and get ourselves out of the mire.
When you were talking about results, Saturday's game against Stenhouse-Muir was quite a tasty one if you think about it. They're above us, we're in the playoff position just now, they are 2 points above us. A victory for Ayr would just give that little bit of breathing space, take us above there. Is there a tension about the club this week?
I don't think so. I mean, first of all, we've got a game in hand as well, so it's not quite a 6-pointer, but no one's even really talking about that yet. I mean, I think we're still finding our feet. I mean, I think there was a positive changes that everyone who was here could see on Saturday, and whether we win or lose or draw on Saturday, I don't think has any. Hopefully, won't have any bearing on the long-term plan we've got going here now with Iain. Obviously, it'd be nice to get a win, and that's what we're all hoping for, and to get the monkey off our back as well. I mean, I think we take a good step on Saturday by getting a result in a game where it could have gone either way, to be honest. I mean, I thought Warren were pretty good in the first half, and we were probably fairly lucky to be 1-0 up, and then we were very lucky to lose that goal, and whatever. Draw was probably a fair result, but it doesn't. Whatever the result is this weekend doesn't matter when you consider what the long-term game is, and that's to kind of improve the way we're playing and start picking up points on a more regular basis. Fortunately, we're not at a point in the season where these games are, not everything is a cup tie yet.
You talked earlier about maybe being distant in California. You might not pick up the same sort of vibes that were going around the club. Do you feel that maybe happened before Christmas, maybe you were not quite feeling up the bad feeling that was around with the fans?
Oh no, I got plenty of the bad feeling emailed to me. So no, I mean, the thing is, I used to go to the online forum. When I first came here, I used to go to the online forum because I thought, oh, this is what you do, and I'd never been on a forum before of any sort. And then I quickly realized that was just poison. So I stopped going to the forum, and I haven't been on that forum in years, probably 5, 6, 7 years. But I do now have this chairman's Facebook page that I go on about once a month maybe, and will answer any question that, any reasonable question that someone asks. As long as it's not abusive, I'm happy to get involved. Mm-hmm. And I follow a little bit through Facebook. I'm not a great social media guy, but I get a vibe of what's going on. But I also know that an online vibe isn't necessarily consistent throughout the rest of the place. But I also have ears on the ground over here and know that, and also I was here in October. It's not like I wasn't here that long ago. I was here in the summer. Things weren't exactly rosy in the garden over the summer this year. Fortunately, we got off to a great start, and all that changed in the middle of October. But I knew that there were rumblings, and obviously there was discontent about what was going on. And again, I gave Mark a lot of leeway because we were trying to help him and support him in the way that we would every other manager. But you have to give a inexperienced manager. You can't bring him in and expect him to know everything. It's not like we were bringing in Alec Ferguson and things were going the way they were. I mean, they wouldn't last that long if they were, because so it's our responsibility, like it or lump it, that we have to try and support the manager. And I felt we did that. Obviously, people will say we gave him too long a chance, and maybe we did or maybe we didn't. I don't know, but I knew that I had to give him, from my own personal point of view, every opportunity to succeed, and I feel we did that. And now it's time to move on.
Back to the league again. If, God forbid, it goes the wrong way this season, we get relegated, can we maintain the level of first full-time football that we've tried out this season?
I mean, I think I don't know the answer to that, because in partnership with the academy, we run the full-time football program, and it's with a lot of help from them, and that support I think will always be there because it benefits everybody. Finance is the main dictator on full-time football, but whether it's full-time or kind of a hybrid full-time, or whether it's part-time only, none of that, all of that is affected by the previous year's income. So whatever we make this year will dictate what we have as a budget next year. So when you look at what the declining crowds and all that through the discontent, I mean, that'll have a negative effect, obviously, but hopefully we can pick some of that back up with the positive results and maybe hopefully get some crowds coming back and so on and so forth. And so, the short answer is that if we have the money and the availability, we will make every effort to run at least the hybrid full-time program.
Iain McCall was saying at the Ask the Manager night that this form that we've got just now maybe should develop further, and maybe this would only run for a few years, this form of hybrid that we've got at the moment, and you can see us, if we grow up a bit further, changing that system. Would you agree with him on that? Yeah,
well, I mean, the ultimate goal would be to be a full-time team if we could function at that level. You don't want to be a full-time team just to be a full-time team. I mean, under Ali, we went from part-time to full-time in that after the championship winning season, but we never really changed much of the staff. So you got part-time players, and now you're paying full-time wages. So we want to make sure that we've got the right player here. We've got a system where so far, we've got this board up here with the academy graduates, and right now we've got a lot of first teamers that have come through that academy. We've got a lot of players in the first 11. Robbie Crawford, Alan Ford, so on and so forth. All these guys doing really well, and hopefully going to do even better. And that's kind of our aim. And it would be really unfortunate if we couldn't offer them full-time training. But everything unfortunately is dictated by the finance. So it really just depends on where we stand. So the attitude and the belief and the desire to do it is there. And hopefully if Iain does what he tells me he can do, and we do what we think we can do, we'll be there. But it won't be, it's not going to be short term.
Again, coming back to the question and answer section we had, he was saying that we probably need expanded from 3, 4 to maybe 7 players at some point, and they'd be nagging you and niggling you to try and get expansion, try and get some more money out of you. Has he been on the phone?
We have we've discussed at length different scenarios, and I'm leaving most of this stuff up to him. He's obviously gone out so far and got 3 players. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, the focus right now is to get us out of the mire and start picking up 3 points every week. And I feel pretty comfortable that he's going to be able to do that.
Is he quite forceful when he talks to you? Do you get that kind of? It comes over as a no-nonsense guy.
I think he's definitely a no-nonsense guy. I made it clear to him that on Saturday I went in and saw him and said, "Look, I know he and I were going to be meeting on Sunday evening and all the rest of it, and I said, just to make sure that there's a rule that no director or employee is to come see you from 2 o'clock or an hour before a match on a Saturday until the next day. We don't want anyone going in and having chats about the match and so on and so forth. Well, if you lose a goal in the last few minutes because you gave away possession in your own third, and everyone's raw and they don't want to talk about whatever, or for whatever reason. Anyway, we'd have that rule in place, and I went in and said, just so here's this rule, and make sure you let me know it so that I can take care of it if that happens. And he said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So that's good. I mean, that's a great thing. And he's a strong man, and he's his own man, and I think he'll shake up a few things around here, and I think he's been quite impressed with a few things around here as well. So I don't expect anything other than a good, solid working relationship.